Leading Figures of the Renaissance, Part 4. William Shakespeare, English poet and playwright. William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616, was born in the English town of Stratford-on-Avon. He was a major figure in the English Renaissance. He is often called the world's greatest playwright and one of its finest poets. Personality and training. Shakespeare's father was a glove maker. As a boy, William studied Latin and classical literature in grammar school. He never went to a university. His plays show a broad knowledge of many subjects, from history and politics to music and art. In his early 20s, Shakespeare became an actor with a theater company in London. He learned about drama by performing and writing plays for the company. Many of his plays were first presented at the Globe Theatre. Shakespeare had a reputation for being quiet and a bit mysterious. His writings show that he was curious and keenly observant. He thought deeply about life and its sufferings, yet he also had a sense of humor and found much to laugh at in life. Talents and achievements. Shakespeare was a skilled actor, but he was an even greater poet and playwright. He had an enormous talent for expressing thoughts and feelings in memorable ways. His plays show that he had a deep understanding of human behavior and emotions. Above all, he had the skill to present his understanding through vivid characters and exciting drama. Shakespeare's poetry is widely admired, especially the 14-line poems called sonnets. Many of his sonnets are beautiful love poems. He is best known, however, for his plays. He wrote both comedies and tragedies. Many of his 38 plays are still performed today around the world. Among the most popular are Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Macbeth, and The Merchant of Venice. Shakespeare's plays cover a broad range of subjects. He wrote about history, romance, politics, prejudice, murder, suicide, and war. His plays remain popular in part because he wrote about timeless things such as love, jealousy, power, ambition, hatred, and fear. Shakespeare has had a deep influence on writers. He also left a lasting mark on the English language. Many common sayings come from Shakespeare, such as "love is blind" and "all's well that ends well." People often quote his witty, wise lines, sometimes without knowing that they owe their graceful words to Shakespeare. Before we move on to our next person, there's two vocabulary words I'd like you to know. The first one is comedy, which means an amusing play with a happy ending. The next one is tragedy, a serious play with a sad ending. Miguel of Cervantes, Spanish writer. Miguel Cervantes, 1547 to 1616, was born near Madrid, Spain. He is best known for his comic novel Don Quixote. Personality and training. Little is known of Cervantes' education. He may have studied with priests influenced by humanism. It is certain that he loved to read. Much of Cervantes' education came through hard experience. At 23, he became a soldier. In a battle at sea, he was shot twice in the chest. He also injured his left hand so badly that the hand became useless. Several years later, he was taken prisoner at sea by pirates. He spent 5 years as a slave in North Africa until his family bought his freedom. Cervantes' early life shows that he was adventurous and courageous. His sense of humor could be biting, but he also turned it on himself. He once bragged that the public liked his plays enough not to boo them off the stage or throw vegetables at the actors. Cervantes' life also had a shady side. He was imprisoned twice for disputes involving money and was once a suspect in a murder. Talents and achievements. A gifted writer, Cervantes wrote many plays, poems, and novels. He had a particular talent for satire. His masterpiece, Don Quixote, pokes fun at romantic stories of heroic knights as well as Spanish society. The main character in the novel, Don Quixote, is a tall, thin, elderly man who has read too many tales of glorious knights. Although the age of knights is past, he dresses up in rusty armor and sets out to do noble deeds. With him is short, stout Sancho Panza. Sancho is an ordinary farmer who rides a mule, but Don Quixote sees him as his faithful squire. Together, the two men have a series of comic adventures. In Don Quixote's imagination, country inns turn into castles and windmills and fearsome giants. While his adventures are very funny, there is something noble about the way he bravely fights evil, even if his deeds are only in his mind. Don Quixote was very popular in Spain. King Philip III supposedly saw a man reading and laughing so hard that he was crying. The king said, "That man is either crazy or he is reading Don Quixote." Today, Don Quixote is considered one of the masterpieces of world literature. Here's one more vocabulary word I'd like you to know, and that word is satire, a word that uses sharp humor to attack people or society. Leonardo da Vinci, Italian Renaissance person. Leonardo da Vinci, 1452 to 1519, was born in a village near Florence. His wide range of interests and accomplishments made him a true Renaissance person. Personality and training. As a teenager, Leonardo trained in Florence under a master sculptor and painter. All his life he studied many subjects including art, music, math, anatomy, botany, architecture, and engineering. Leonardo spent much of his life in Florence and Milan. He worked as an artist, engineer, and architect for kings, popes, and wealthy patrons. A handsome, brilliant man, he had a special love of animals. Sometimes he bought caged animals at the market and set them free. He also was a vegetarian. He ate no meat, which was quite unusual at the time. As you can see from all the topics he studied, Leonardo was endlessly curious. He was a careful observer and liked to figure things out for himself. Talents and achievements. Leonardo was gifted in many fields. He was an accomplished painter, sculptor, architect, engineer, and inventor. Leonardo's notebooks show him to be one of the greatest creative minds of all time. Like Albrecht Dürer, he closely studied proportions. He made precise drawings of people, animals, and plants. He also sketched out ideas about geometry and mechanics, the science of motion and force. He designed weapons, buildings, and a variety of machines. Many of the inventions he drew, such as a helicopter and a submarine, were centuries ahead of their time. Leonardo's paintings are among the world's greatest works of art. One of his masterpieces is the Mona Lisa, a painting of a woman with a mysterious smile. It is one of the most famous paintings in the world. Like his other paintings, it displays a remarkable use of perspective, balance, and detail. The rich effects of light, shade, and color reveal Leonardo's close study of light. Students of his art also detect how principles of geometry helped him organize the space in his paintings. Leonardo's art inspired other great artists, such as Michelangelo. With his many interests and talents, Leonardo is a nearly perfect example of the spirit of the Renaissance. Okay, I'd just like to go over the vocabulary one more time. Comedy means an amusing play with a happy ending, and tragedy means a serious play with a sad ending. Satire means a work that uses sharp humor to attack people or society.